Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So something is going on in the state of New Jersey, and it's been happening for a while, but a lot of people really didn't start to take notice until the 2024 presidential election, where Donald Trump went out there and he almost pulled off an upset in a state that Joe Biden 4 years prior won by like 17 percentage points. And honestly, you could make the case if Joe Biden was not forced out of the 2024 presidential election that Donald Trump would have won the state of New Jersey over Joe Biden, which is absolutely insane. But still, they did what they had to do to stay, somewhat remotely competitive while still losing their most decisive election loss since 1988. But still, New Jersey is a state that has long traditionally been a blue state, and it's getting redder. It really is, because you have plenty of demographics in New Jersey, whether it is Italians, whether it is Orthodox Jews, Hispanics, etc. They are moving vastly to the right, and that we know. This has been kind of something that you didn't really see because of like that stereotypical suburban voter. Those people are kind of gone. Yes, they vote in every little election, but still, that type of voter, it doesn't have as much pull over New Jersey because you do have this massive surge for Donald Trump. And 2021, you had a close governor's race where you almost knocked off an incumbent governor with an underfunded opponent. And even then, Donald Trump, in many places in the state, actually outperformed him. And you could see the registration data right here. New Jersey, Democratic advantage. They had a 1.1 million advantage at the book closing in 2020. That has been trimmed down to 905,000 at 2024, which is roughly around where Pennsylvania was when Donald Trump picked off the state in 2016, because you have a lot of ancestral Dems, but you have a lot of new, more active Republican voters. And you look at this, their advantage since the election has gone down. 10% of that advantage is basically wiped out. It's just 827 to 828,000 voters. So Republicans in April alone, they gained 2,300 voters. Democrats just gained 505. That's a net gain for the Republicans of 2,000 per month. And it kind of showcases that this is not slowing down. This was not a pre-election phenomenon. No, this is something that has continued well into Donald Trump's presidency. And if you keep getting more and more registrations on the Republican side, that is massive news. And when it comes down to this year and this year's governor's election, there's a decent shot that Republicans could win it. Now, we don't know who the nominee is going to be yet, but Donald Trump did endorse Jack Ciattarelli, who was the nominee from 2021. Now, he's somebody that's kind of like a milquetoast guy. He did well in 2021, but he does have like these rhino tendencies, friends with Chris Christie or whatever. But New Jersey's not a state that is a red state to the point where you can understand where Donald Trump is getting at. He's like, okay, we'll pick this guy who can win enough moderates, because it's going to be a more like college-educated style electorate. A lot of those voters who helped Trump make the state close probably are not going to be as likely to turn out, even though I think that a decent amount of them can show up. And a lot of them did show up in 2021, and they made it competitive. I think many of them could show up again, but you're going to need to probably build a coalition that kind of gets some of those more ancestral Republicans that don't like Trump on board to win the state in an off-year election environment. So Donald Trump just sees him as the guy to do it. He's probably not going to, try to get too involved in this race. But what I will say is that this is definitely an election that could be winnable for the Republicans. And if you want to talk about the Republican strategy for this year, because you have New Jersey and you have Virginia, I think that you got to go all in on New Jersey, because I think Virginia, you see where Democrats are running their strong candidate, a lot of deep state connections, a lot of funding against somebody on the Republican side who basically got elected because of the fact that Youngkin won and every statewide office went Republican. Winsome Sears is really not a great candidate. She is relatively lackluster, has run a lackluster campaign so far. And Youngkin is somebody who would easily win re-election. I think he's going to come back in 2029 and win it. But I think every resource needs to go into New Jersey, because you look at this Emerson poll, Emerson, which has a track record of being relatively accurate in the state of New Jersey, and you have the Republicans in a very, very good position here because President Trump has a job approval rating of 47%. If you go back to the 2021 exit polls, Biden was kind of underwater already, and that's with him winning the state by 17. Trump in 2017, when you had Phil Murphy win his first election, he won it by like 10. Trump's approval rating was in the gutter. Now he's 50-50. This is a different ball game here. You possibly could win this, but another thing, because these races are more localized. They're not necessarily nationalized. So if you can get a Republican governor in there that could be a solid upgrade from Phil Murphy, it's well worth it. When you look at this, Murphy has a 40% job approval rating. That's bad. That's abysmal for a sitting governor, while 45% disapprove of the job he's doing. And then you talk about New Jersey being a state that historically bounces the ball back and forth at the gubernatorial level. You've had plenty of Republican governors, despite it being a blue state. It's getting more competitive. Phil Murphy's not popular. Trump is uniting the Republican Party behind one candidate, probably the candidate with the best chance to win, even if there may be a better option out there, like ideologically wise. So regardless, when you look at this, Donald Trump is relatively popular in the state. And on top of it, you see that Phil Murphy's not. Phil Murphy is -5. Donald Trump has a 7% higher approval rating than Phil Murphy in the state of New Jersey, which is absolutely astounding when you think about it, because this is a blue state. Phil Murphy, he won 2 elections, but still, he's not too popular. And when incumbent governors are not popular, that's when they're vulnerable to either A, lose, or B, if they're outgoing, there's not really going to be any coattails. Meanwhile, the Democrat field is completely just divided. You know, the Republicans, this was before the Trump endorsement. I'm sure Jack's probably going to crack around 70 when it's all said and done, for better or worse. But when you look at the Democrat side, it's completely broken. It's completely fragmented. And a lot of the Democrat potential frontrunners are not really strong candidates. Mickey Sherrill, or however you pronounce their name, not a very strong candidate from everything that we've seen. And we don't have any head-to-head polling when it comes down to the general election. But you could make the case this is going to be competitive. I don't want to use the T word and say toss-up just yet, but you could make the case. You could make the case depending on how things go. If Donald Trump and his approval rating, if it goes up, which it might, because again, he's kind of in a rough patch with the media, with the tariff stuff when this poll was conducted. Now he's kind of getting out of that because you had the trade deal, or the intermediary trade deal with China, the trade deal with the UK. I'm sure there's plenty more to come, but positive economic data that we're seeing. And on top of it, he's working to get deals done in the Middle East, which would be absolutely huge. He's energizing his base because he's had a very productive past week. When you have a productive week, you're going to energize your base. They're going to be more likely to show up for stuff like this. You're not just energizing the opposition, which is going to be energized anyways. And on top of it, you have a candidate who does kind of have appeal to a lot of those like independent-esque voters in the state of New Jersey who might not really like Trump all that much, but would be open to a Republican governor. That's kind of the sweet spot there as it stands now. So when it comes down to the future, not only of New Jersey, but of the Republican short-term electoral prospects, there's a lot of positive data. You know, you look at Axios, they have to bend the knee and they have to say hard data suggests tariff-driven inflation and recession fears may be overblown. Oh, you don't say. The experts are wrong yet again. Shocker. Not really, but we understand how these things go. You have a lot of panic in the media, and there's all this hype. And when they underdeliver, when there's no recession, when tariffs don't cause inflation and you see inflation going down, and they just revised a different report down today and prices are actually falling, yeah, that's not exactly something that you can point to and say is going to bode well for the Democrats. They did this with egg prices. They said the first second Donald Trump became president. Eggs are going up. It's like they were going up under Biden. He's been president for half an hour. You're already whining about the prices when you said the president couldn't control the prices for 4 years. How interesting is that logic that they have? But regardless, it's like it blew up in their face because egg prices eventually fell. And on the flip side, with gas prices in 2022, Biden just depleted our emergency oil reserves because of the fact that gas prices were rising, where gas prices were going up, and Republicans in their 2022 messaging was largely initially about gas prices, gas prices, gas prices. When they fell, it wasn't as effective. It lost its bite. So I hope the Democrats continue to take the bait time and time again, because their electoral prospects may not be all that solid in 2025 and 2026, and it starts in 2025. It starts in New Jersey. But if we're talking about Donald Trump breaking even in New Jersey, which again, if you look at the national polling, he's a few points underwater. So either A, you're talking about the fact that he's more popular in New Jersey than he is nationally, or B, the national polls are full of shit, which I think that there is a large grain of truth in that element, but still New Jersey is relatively a competitive state moving forward. And it possibly could flip to the Republican column this November. We'll see, but this is the race to watch in 2025. I'll keep you guys posted on it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.